Hi guys, I'm here today with Matt, and Matt is the musical genius behind SkySaga.
Yes.
I think that's fair to say.
Something like that.
Yeah, and you do all the audio.
Yeah, my role is audio director
at
Radiant Worlds. So I'm kind of doing music, sound, implementation of all of those bits and pieces into SkySaga.
Today we're going to look at how you do all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, that's what we're doing.
But first of all, you're going to tell us a little bit about yourself. How long have you been into the music scene? And I also get a lot of questions from people saying, how do you get into this sort of thing? So, you know, let's talk about how you got into it all.
Well, I got into music when I was a kid, really. I started playing the cello when I was like 7 or 8, and then the piano around the same age. And then I kind of got into guitar, like electric guitar, around like 11 or 12. And I sort of ditched the cello at that point and then played the electric guitar instead. And then, I was just into music like all the time, like writing songs, playing in bands. And then I did a GCSE music, and I did an A-level music, and as I was doing my A-levels, I was wondering what to do, and I've ended up going to university to study music up in Liverpool. Kind of still doing guitar, still doing songwriting, but then I started doing kind of arranging for like string quartets and then like big band arrangements, as well as the songwriting stuff. And then I kind of finished uni and moved down to London with a view of sort of trying to be like a session guitar player, and trying to like do gigs, make money from that.
Did you do any session work?
Yeah, I did some session work.
Anybody famous you did stuff with? No.
No, just like kind of like sort of friends of friends who wanted stuff for recording, but I never really did any kind of big names.
So how did you get into computer games?
Well, that's the next stage really. So after sort of a year and a bit in London, sort of thinking, well, I'm not really making any money here. But I was having a good time and I was doing lots of gigs, but I just wasn't making any money. So I thought, well, I'll do another course. So I went down to Bournemouth and I did an MA in music design for the moving image, which was the title of the course, which essentially was a film music course. So it was a lot of film analysis, which was fascinating. I'm a big film fan. And then composing for film. So you'd analyse a film and then you kind of, well, now I can work out what I want to do musically with it, in a sense. So then I kind of did that. It was a great experience, met some really cool people there. And after that, I moved back down to London. I was there for a bit, and then there was a job that came up at Blitz Games, basically. I've always been into video games as well. And a friend of mine was working there, said, well, why don't you come along and, you know, come for an interview? So I went along. And I did the infamous 2-day kind of interview task, which was great, and luckily I got the job. So I was hired predominantly as a composer back then, and that's kind of how I got into the industry.
So, what was your when you were at Blitz? What were your favourite games? Which were your favourite games that you worked on?
I joined roughly 2002. So the first game I worked on was Zapper, which was like a kind of like overhead Frogger update essentially, but it was a bit more funky. So what did we do after that? Lots more games really. We did quite a few sort of Nickelodeon cartoon games, so we sort of did SpongeBob stuff and Fairly Odd Parents, and they were great fun to work on, like, because you've got
cartoons as well.
Very funny, to be fair, and you've got a little bit of license to play with different genres of music as well, because that's kind of what the TV shows did. And then kind of right up to, like, I suppose Dead to Rights was the sort of biggest game.
That was the AAA title, wasn't it?
Kind of, and that was Volatile, so that's a division within Blitz Games that kind of did more like kind of violent adult themed games. And
within that game, what was your favourite part about that game?
Well,
because the music's fantastic.
Thanks, Brian. I mean,
so I worked on it. I don't mind.
I mean, the music was my favourite part to work on. That's predominantly my job on that game, and we were lucky enough to sort of get a small orchestra and record it at Abbey Road Studios.
Which I've got to say, for any musicians, probably quite a big sort of like, homage, isn't it?
I mean, it's, you know, we recorded in Studio 2, which is the space where a lot of the Beatles stuff was recorded, and like, I'm a big Beatles fan, so you go there and you're like, like the piano that like Paul McCartney may have been playing on.
Yeah.
So that was a big deal, and also to have like these pieces that I'd kind of written in sort of MIDI, to have them played back on
as an orchestral piece
by amazing musicians. Was like a real treat.
So if you could give anybody any advice on how to get into the game industry as in the audio side of it, what would be the best advice you could possibly give?
I think just get experience of it. A lot of the software you can like get for free. You can get trial software. But also defining sort of what you want to do within audio, because audio is like a big field, and there are a lot of specialities within it. So it's kind of working out what your particular skill is and how to grow that and define it. So rather than just saying I want to do like the whole lot, or I just want to do music, maybe look at like doing sound design, maybe look at voice editing. A good way to sort of get experience might be working on game mods. Look into the game mod community and maybe sort of approach people and say like, I could do some sound effects for your game if you want, or I could do a bit of music, and try working with people, because there's no kind of substitute for experience, I'd say. Also then start having a look at things like WY's, Unity, Unreal, and see how like sound is actually put into a game, get a bit of an understanding of implementation. That's a real asset. If someone's applying to us and they know how to like do great sound design or great music or whatever, but if they also know how to put that thing into a game engine, then that's going to put them in good stead. Fantastic.
Well, you're going to go through now and show us the step-by-step process for one of the sections in the game.
Yes,
and
something, like
something similar to that. And we'll see you guys in a second.
So this is a piece of music that's kind of featuring in the in your home island, in the Sky Island. So what my sort of working process is, for this particular bit here, I kind of started off with like a reoccurring pattern here, because I sort of wanted to create with this bit of music a sort of sense of something is going to happen at some point, so there's a sort of movement to it. So having a sort of reoccurring pattern like this, I think, provides with a kind of sense of motion.
Yeah.
So from there, we start to add a few other bits and pieces. So for example, here, start to bring in a bit of melody. And then I wanted to add some percussion. I also wanted the sounds to kind of represent some of the objects that you might find. So here we got like a glass kind of being hit with sort of like soft mallets. To complement the first pattern that we heard. We've got some shakers in there. And so once I start to get into that idea, you can start to flesh out the arrangement by adding in maybe some violins and some guitars.
I gotta say, this is one of my favourite pieces of music in the game so far, because it just reminds me of Firefly.
Yeah?
Yeah, like Serenity, Firefly. It's a real relaxing, beautiful sort of atmosphere it creates.
Well, it should. Yeah, that's really cool.
It is. It's actually I kind of. It's one of those things that I like to play. Like, obviously when I'll stay on my home island and wander around and just listen to this as you're doing your work and stuff. It's actually quite exciting. Okay, so that was absolutely brilliant. I can't thank you enough for letting us in today. It's been absolutely brilliant seeing how this all works. So, Matt, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And guys, keep watching. We'll see you very, very soon in the next episode of SkySaga.